Yeah, so today we'll be talking about how to approach your next analytics project. And I think I gave a preview in the last class. And the aim of this is just to help us navigate how to work around when we have an analytics project or when we have so say someone reach out to you, they needed a dashboard or they needed a query and all of that, or you are trying to build a personal project yourself and you are trying to work around how to go about it. So, what we are taking this evening is just what are the best practice or best way. I think from my own, let me put it from my own perspective, and I think it cuts across the analytics level too. Like what I mean by it cuts across the analytics level is that it does not just stop at, let me try, actually have to end at Dune. It does not have to end at Dune or blockchain analytics. This, I think, covers across the whole analytics space. That is, when you have an analytic project or you want to build a query, you want to build a dashboard, you are trying to work on a Tableau bar dashboard, a Power BI dashboard, an SQL query, whatever it is, I think this is the best way, this is the best approach to working out on this project. And so the first thing, which I think is very, very important, and I talked about it last week, is that the first thing you need to do when you have a project is, instead of going the actual route of, okay, I have a project, the next thing is I jump on the project, I source for the data, and I start working and I get a result. I don't think that is the best route to getting your work done effectively and perfectly. Because the reason it's not the best route is that it is while you are working on the project that you try to think, okay, oh, I need to add KPI here. Then you add KPI. Oh, okay, KPI does not fit in here. Oh, let me add it here. Like, it now becomes so mumbled up that you end up probably frustrated sometimes, or you end up just closing your laptop and not doing anything at the end of the day. So I think the first thing, which is very, very important, is to divine the final answer. By divining the final answer, what exactly are the outputs? What do you want to see at the as the output? Like, okay, I want to build a dashboard. What are the likely things? What did I want to see? What do I want to show? What do I want to measure? Do I want to measure number of wallets? Do I want to measure um, the total value logged? Do I want to measure the volume? Do I want to measure daily user? Do I want to measure daily active user? All of those things. So you need to be very, very specific on what exactly you want to show or measure in your analytics or your dashboard or even in your research. Say, even if it's a research project, what exactly do you want people to see? What exactly do you want when they read your report or your research or your analytic paper? What exactly do you want people to see? So the first thing is divine the final answer, that is the output, what you want people to see. So that is the first step, and that is what I think is the first step, which is like the best way to go about analytics projects. So the first thing is divine the final answer. What exactly do you want to show or measure? How how do you want the result to be shown? Do you want it as a report? Do you want it as a live data? Do you want it as a static data? Like, what exactly is the final form? And I think I explained some of these things that can help you. What is your project goal? Who are you presenting this for? Like, this particular dashboard I want to build, who do I want it to see it? Do I want it to serve as a tool for analysts, or do I want it to be a tool for end users or for layman? Or do I want it to be tool for people that are maybe a little bit above layman? That is, maybe there are certain terms you want to put in your dashboard that someone at the basic level might not be able to understand. So if you are building it for someone at the basic level, you want an end user to use it, then it means you have to bring it down to the last level. I did a dashboard for Dune Africa, like CNGN, the um, the stable coin, the Naira pegged stable coin. So I did a dashboard And when I published the dashboard, someone reached out to me and said that it would be better if I write out what the information I have on that dashboard, what they are. So at that point, I get to understand that a good number of time when we put different things on our dashboard, some of our end users or the people we are trying to reach out to, they really don't understand some of those things. From our analytics eye, we might think that, oh, these people understand this. But in actual sense, they don't understand it. I have to do like an explainer video to explain what each of those metrics, what they mean, just for just to help out the end user. So I'm using this to explain that when you have a project, when you are running an analysis or whatever it is, you want to have a particular set of people in mind that you are building your dashboard or you are writing your query for, and that will help you simplify the results that you want. That is the answers you want to the questions that you'll be asking, as you will see later on. The format of your analytics, whether it's a dashboard or a report or a presentation. Then another thing is, what is success metric? How do I know that this dashboard is successful? What by success metrics, it means, okay, am I able to pass the message across to the end user or to my stakeholder or to my developer or whoever I'm trying to build this for? I hope we know that there are certain dashboards that are on Dune that are not public. They are literally private. That is, team members use it within themselves. Like, that is, the team use it. They use those dashboards within themselves. They don't use it as a public dashboard. The details of those kind of dashboard will be totally different from dashboard that are publicly available, because maybe those dashboards are being used by the developers in-house. There are certain terms that you might use that a developer would easily understand. Maybe a layman, if you put a TLV somewhere, a layman might really not understand what exactly a TLV is. I mean, they will see TLV and be like, okay, what does this mean? So, but a developer will most likely, or a crypto native person will most likely understand this. Or, okay, this is total value locked. So this is why divining the final answer, which is the output, this is why it is important. So that at this point, it helps you like being able to like break down what you want to do. Just like the usual saying that if you want to cut a tree, the best thing you want to do is probably one of those things you probably want to do is, there's the part where you have to sharpen your tool. There's the part where you have to envisage where you want the tree to fall into. And that is more like what divining the final answer. That is the output you want. That is more like what it looks like. So the first thing you want to do is to divine the final answer. So the second thing now, after you've divined the final answer, the next thing you want to do is to break those answers into key questions. That is, okay, I want to have the TLV here, I want to have volume here, I want to have. After you've done that, then the next thing is you want to have like smaller questions that will lead you to those answers. Smaller questions that will lead to those answers. So smaller questions like, what will I be calculating to get this, to get the TLV? What will I be adding up together? What are the calculations I need to do to get the TLV? What are the calculations? There are some dashboards that are not as straightforward. I think there was one ton, I think it was ton blockchain. There was one time they were doing like a competition, and they posted um, a dashboard competition more like, and there are some of the information they needed on those dashboards that you will necessarily not find it in a table directly. It's just like, for example, there is no query table, or yes, there's no Dune query table that has the market cap of a coin directly. There's no query table that has it. For you to be able to get the market cap, it means you must have multiplied the price of that that it means you must have gotten the price of the token and multiply it with the supply before you get the market cap. So these are more like the ways you break down the answer. So I want to get the market cap. What are the questions I need to ask? What are the things I need to add up in order to get the market cap? So you have to break those answers into key questions. What smaller question do I need to answer to get to my final destination? What filters, what grouping, or what calculations do I actually need to do in order to get the final answer I want to. So what tables do I need? How do I identify the right records? What aggregate, like what mathematical calculations do I need to do? All of those things. So these are more like what encompasses breaking your answer into key question. And the reason we are doing this, you might probably think that, oh, this method might probably be slower. Why not I jump into everything I need to do and just like tackle it head on? The reason it might be a problem is that if you tackle it head on, some of these things that you ought to have done at the beginning, you now end up meeting it when you are tackling it head on. And at that time, you now have to come back to this process. Meanwhile, it will have been much more easier if you are taking it step by step. That is starting from this, then moving to the next level. That is starting from the first one, which is define the final answer, then moving to this next one, which is break the answer into key questions, and then moving it layer by layer by layer. With that, you find out that at the end of the day, you're able to do your work much more faster and much more effective. And you'll find out that the whole process of you running your analytics, like it makes it faster and seamless and much more better, because you'll be able to see the end from the beginning in actual sense. So that's why it is very, very important. Then the next thing is, so you know the final answer, like you've been able to envisage the final answer, you've been able to break those answers into key questions. The next thing you will now want to do is that, what are the data tables I need? So probably need to start writing out, okay, I need this particular table. These are the tables I need to work. So when I was building, there was one project I did, which I think, by the way, is my most fantastic project on Dune so far, I think, which is the whales watch. What are the whales buying? That particular dashboard, I I used this actual process in building that particular dashboard. Let me try to check. I use this particular process I'm explaining to build that particular dashboard. And by that, what I mean by that is that I started by picking out what exactly do I want. I'm trying to load it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think you can see. Okay. Good. Okay. Yeah. So this is dashboard I'm talking about. When I was building this, I started by thinking of what exactly do I want, like the answers, how I want it to look like. And if you check Whale Watch on Twitter, I think I used to explain this very, very well. If you check Whale Watch or Whale Alert on Twitter, you'll find out that they have something so close and so similar to this. That is because that is what I tailed this particular project towards. When I was building this project, what I thought of was that I wanted something like this exactly. I wanted something that looks like this particular whale holding this particular token just bought this particular token. So I had like a mental map that I wrote down at the end of the day, which is like the answer, which is like the final output of what I want. So after I've been able to do that, I wrote down, okay, what are the things I need in order to get this thing done? Like, okay, I need to be able to, like, I wrote out a map, more like a map, or more like a schema. Yeah, more like a schema of what I really want. And the next thing I had to do then, after writing that down, is this next process I'm talking about, which is identifying the required data source. You want to know exactly which data source do I need to. By which data source, you mean which table? Okay, I need a table of token holders. Okay, I need a table of token supplies. I need a table of token price so that I'll be able to match it together and be able to get the market cap. Okay, I need a table of um, meme coin on this particular. So things like that, you need to like bring out, like write out some of the tables you think you need, which you think, okay, this particular table is available on Dune, this one is not available on Dune. How do I get this table? Or how do I find my way? How do I walk around getting to this actual destination? like I said in the last class, I was working on a project and I found out that okay, the price table is not available. How do I work around this? Okay, there is an API. Dune allows calling API. There's an external API that has the price. So I had to work around. So it is something like this: identifying the required data source. You need to identify which data source works, which one does not work, which one can I match together, which table can I match together. So you need to identify maybe whether it is token address, whether it is token symbol table, whether it is timestamp, the block, I mean block time, block month, whatever you need, whether it is wallet address, the buy, sell, the mints, all of those things, whatever you need to map out the data sources that you need. That is, oh, I need this data source, I need this data source, I need this table, I need this event. So that would now take you to like walking around all of Dune and seeing, okay, I need Ethereum log, okay, I need a Ethereum transfer. Okay, this particular data is available on Ethereum transfer and not available on Ethereum log. Okay, this particular table is available on Ethereum transaction. Okay, this particular table is available on. So you need to like map out and write out the different table, your Dune table as it is, that your data sources are. That is the data you would need to accomplish your project. So maybe you will probably want to search out anybody that has done that particular project before or something close to that project and try to see which type of table they use in accomplishing what they were able to accomplish. So something like that. So after identifying the required data source, then the next thing, of course, that you need to do is now to build your query layer by layer. Okay, another way of probably simplifying that is writing out the CTEs, that is batch by batch. You don't want to mumble up all the data together. It's always good to like wrap them up in different cities. By wrapping them up in different cities, it helps you like make your your query much more cleaner. Like each city would have a particular purpose that you are writing them. So maybe in each city you're able to like filter out some raw data by CTE. For those of us that don't know, I think we should all know what CTE is. If you've gone through a proper SQL class, you should know what CTE is, what they are. They are majorly just common temporary expression. I mean common table expression rather. Common table expression, and they are basically like tables, more like you write your SQL query in a table. So maybe for example, you wrote a different CTE to accompany data, like this is the data table, then this is the, let's say, dex trade table, or this is the symbol table and all of that, so that it will be easier for you to match them up together at the end of the day. So after you must have gotten your required data source, the next thing you want to do is to start writing your query or start building your projects by writing them one query after the other. And in some cases, especially on Dune, there are certain times you call out some other query inside your main query. Say for example now, this what are the whales building? I mean, what are the whales buying? For example, I have I have an actual different CTE that has, okay, so this is the CTE that has, let me yeah. So I have this CTE that shows, that gathers the token, that gather the token address. These are basically token address of meme coin, like all the meme coin, basically meme coin on Solana thereabouts. So this particular city picks up meme coin on Solana basically. So it makes it much more easier. I know that okay, this is token list CTE. This particular table is for current price. This, I mean, this city is for price. This is price city. This is token information city. This is orders with what city. So by breaking it bit by bit, this is recent trade city. This is token market cap. This is rank of each person's trade. This is token bot counter. And at the end of the day, I was now able to like match up all of these queries together. So, like I said the other time, I said this is a perfect example of one of the projects I've been able to use this thing I'm explaining, that have been able to use it very well in. So you want to map out each of the query you want to write one step after the other, like just like you are building a block. So you want to have cities for each one, bit by bit, one after the other, one after the other, so that at the end of the day, you can now call out whatever data source or whatever data that you need and have a perfect result. So after you've built your query, you've written your query, then the next thing you want to do is to validate your results. You don't want to jump to visualization, you want to validate your result. The reason I'm saying validate your results is that the data space can be very, very funny sometimes. And by the data space, I even mean the blockchain data space, because in the blockchain data space, a wrong data might be very, very deadly. Let me use the word deadly in that sense. So the reason I said that it is very, very deadly is that, so I there was one time, what led me to finally do the CNGN, I mean CNGN, yes, CNGN dashboard for Dune Africa, was that I saw a particular dashboard on Dune and I saw the data, and I was a bit worried that, oh, this CNGN that they've been talking about, look at the volume that this particular dashboard, look at the volume it had. It was very, very low. So I copied the dashboard and I posted it on Twitter that, oh, this CNGN these people have been talking about, look at the volume, look at how low it is. Meanwhile, I was the one that didn't validate the actual data, because from the actual data, it actually shows that a particular data is not showing. That is what I just interpreted as the data for CNGN is wrong. And that actually caused a little bit of commotion, because there are some people that were actually waiting for CNGN to fail. So when they saw that data, they were like, okay, yeah, we told you. And there are some people that are CNGN lovers, and they were like, oh, this data set is wrong and all of that. And it's basically like turned into house of commotion. And that's because I did not validate the data I was posting. And that's the same thing with when you write a query. So if you write a query or you publish a particular dashboard, and maybe your dashboard is probably trending on Dune, that is why sometimes there are certain times that you don't believe every dashboard you see on Dune. And the reason is because people write their query themselves without, like, they can have a particular bias. I can decide to have a particular bias and write a query. And if people don't validate or check in depth, they might take that particular query as the absolute truth. Meanwhile, the data in it is incorrect. So you want to make sure that you are not giving people the wrong data, because you don't know who will be using your data set. You don't know if a particular newspaper or maybe a particular blog will be interested in using your data, and they just source online and they think that, oh, your data is accurate probably because of the numbers of stars or likes that you've gathered, and then they just pick up your data and probably trying to use it, and at the end of the day they now found out that the data you supplied is totally wrong. So you want to check that the numbers make sense. You want to confirm that. Sometimes when I write some queries, say for example, if I write a holders query, I always double check on, say, Etherscan or SourceScan, to be sure that, okay, this data that I have, this is the actual data. Sometimes when I write query, I always confirm on Solana scan, maybe through the transaction hash, to be sure that, okay, this is actually the interpretation of this, like on the Explorer. And the reason for that is because I want to make sure that whatever I'm presenting is correct and not wrong, because a whole lot of people will be running with whatever you present as the absolute truth. Meanwhile, it is you that did not validate your data. So you want to check if the numbers make sense. You want to compare it with reference points. You also want to look for anomalies, maybe missing days. So an example is, at different point, um, my meme coin dashboards, maybe on Pump Fund or on Lesbonk, for example, there was one time that I think the price data on Dune had an issue, and there was a price spike for some tokens. So I literally had to go and write a disclaimer that there's a problem, there's a price, whatever. If not, someone can literally take that data point at that point in time and use it as the absolute truth. Meanwhile, that is not the right interpretation of that data, or that is not the right data as at that point in time. So you want to look for missing days, you want to look for unrealistic volume, you want to remove certain things that are unrealistic. Maybe you build a dashboard and you find out that there is a spike in a particular place compared to another. You probably want to check, why do I have a spike here? Why do I have a spike here? Maybe you are writing a particular query, and what they want is they want you to probably be able to show volume for end user wallets, that is from user wallet to user wallet, and you probably find a spike. There's a possibility that the transaction that happened there is probably with a contract, with a smart contract address, instead of from an end user to an end user, that is from wallet to wallet. So that those are the reasons why you have to like validate um your data. So you want to make sure that do they do they align with expectation. You want to check maybe DeFi Llama, you want to check maybe Dex Screener or whatever it is, just to be able to like confirm that okay, this data I have is actually correct and it is the actual data set and all of that. So after that, I mean, the next thing you want to do is to visualize and storytell, like do all the things you need to do, your hex, like put the necessary. So this is where you have to put the necessary visualization. Like I said in the first meeting, there are certain times I get vexed when I see people do some certain things. For example, when I see someone put like a data set that has maybe like 60 data inside, I'm now using a pie chart to represent 60 data. It is not like, it is against the ethics of data analytics or visualization in actual sense, because a pie chart or a pie chart in actual sense, or a donut chart in actual sense, should actually not take more than five at best. It should not take more than five at best data. The reason for that is that so that you'll be able to easily, I mean, your end user will easily be able to differentiate each pie from each other. Sometimes you might feel that, oh, maybe bar chart is too common and you now want to switch to, no, you should not use a visualization because it is too common or not too common. You should use a visualization because of what it represents. That is, it perfectly represents the data better. So that is why bar chart is not old fashioned. As much as possible, bar chart is still like the best representation of data, because you'll be able to see the different you'll be able to see the differences in maybe each of the days or each of the categories, as the case may be. Another thing is that when you are representing something that has to do with time series, it is always good, it is always the best practice to use a line chart. It's always best practice to use a line chart when you are representing time series across. Maybe you want to show something across a different time, like over a period of time. It's always good and nice to use a line chart. So all of that, you want to make sure that you are representing your visualization with the best possible visualization that should represent those data. And also, there are certain cases that you don't actually need a visualization, that what you need is just the ordinary text. And that is why we have the counter on Dune, because there are certain data that necessarily don't have to be in bar charts or pie charts or line charts. You just need to put them as ordinary text and they will stand out and explain perfectly what you want. So everything does not necessarily have to be a bar chart or be a pie chart. And also, at the end of your visualization, you want to do a storytelling, because by storytelling, I mean when you want to make your data public, because it is not enough for you to publish your visualization. You also want to make sure that you explain what some of those data set or data points, what they mean to the end user, so that they perfectly understand and see things from your perspective. They are able to see that, okay, this is what this person is talking about. Okay, I now understand this is the volume, and you're able to explain that, okay, this is the volume, or you probably explain how you came about the volume and all of those things. By storytelling your data, it makes your data much more easier and visible. Like that is, your end user are able to see from your point of view by you telling a story, or by storytelling. Necessarily doesn't have to be a story. It's just you telling or using words to explain what those charts, what they actually mean in actual sense. And I think like these are some of the steps. And I think another thing you now want to do, maybe after you might have done your visualization and all, sometimes you can do it at the end. Sometimes you might do it at the beginning, like very beginning, maybe while you are building your query. What you want to do is to optimize your query. For example, maybe you run, maybe at first, while doing the first initial run through, you just want to have something to show. After you must have done that, when you have something to show, the next thing you want to do is to look for ways to make your query run very fast. So when I was building dashboards on Dune, I always use Solana transfer, or use, especially for meme coin, I always use Solana transfer to pull out certain data. But what I found out was that Solana transfer takes longer to load a particular data set. And over time, I was looking for ways to optimize and make it much more faster. So I found out that what I'm using Solana transfer for, I can actually use Solana instruction calls to pull the same data much more faster. And I found out that by the time I started using Solana instruction calls, what Solana transfer will run for like say 10-15 minutes or more, Solana instruction call will run it in less than 5 minutes. So when you are done building your project or your dashboard and it is working perfectly fine, the next thing you want to do, or you might want to do, is optimize your dashboard such that it runs faster, such that your end user, they are able to see, I mean, easily, like they're able to run your query much more faster. And also, maybe your query, you might want to add more comments to your query such that another person that wants to use your query or your dashboard would easily be able to understand what each of those query, what they stand for and what they mean. So these are like extra efforts or extra things you might want to put to your project to like make it work much more better. So um, how to approach your project next time. First thing is to define the final answer, which is the output. Second thing is to break the answer into key questions. Third thing is to identify the required data sources. The fourth is to build the query in layers. The fifth is to validate before visualization. And the last one is your visualization and storytelling. Yeah. So I personally think this is the best way for you, like to go about your analytics project and make it like optimize it and make the process much more faster. Yeah. If possible, in between the asking questions and all, you can probably try to draft out a schema. All of this process, just so you know, sometimes all of this process, I use ChatGPT or Cloud, that is AI, to generate some of these things. So I put all of the tables and I tell it to give me links between each of those tables. That is, create more like a schema table. A schema table is just a visual representation of each of the tables and how they interconnect to each other. That's just what a schema table is. I expect every one of us to know, anyways, from anyone with a solid data background should know that. So you can probably want to do a schema so that you're able to easily understand where each of those data, where they stand out and how they map and connect to each other. So yeah, so this is how I personally, this is how I go about working, like go about the process, how I approach my analytics project. So yeah, if you have any question, if you have question, if you have question,
Excuse me, sir.
okay, I think Bray, you can go first.
Oh, okay. I do want to ask what kind of what kind of thing that makes makes you think that your metric will be worthy to the other's perspective based on others' perspective.
Okay, yeah.
That's
So okay, yeah, I'm listening.
it sounds difficult, I think. Yeah,
Oh, it sounds
that's all for me.
difficult. Okay, okay. So the reason I think I know we personally have like um I know we personally have different methods of how we treat or how we work around our project, but I don't think it's difficult personally. Or what I would think you should do is probably try this method in your next analytics. The reason is because by using this method, you're able to like cut out the unknown that you probably face when you are writing your query. Like when you just jump into the process, I mean, when you just jump into the process straight up without like some of these build ups. So let's say, for example, I think the usual process is probably okay, you have a dashboard you want to build. Then the next thing is probably you maybe sometimes you try to look for projects that have done something close to that. Then you now start probably trying to join one table with another, and probably in most cases have to start running a try and error method before you now come about the right results. But by using this project, by using this method, you are probably able to cut out some of the try and error. Of course, there are certain times you still have to try some things, especially at the query point, like when you have to like at the point when you have to like start writing your query, when you have to start building your queries layers by layer. I mean, one layer after the other. There are certain times when some things will not work and you have to look for an alternative and all of that. But by already running out on writing out or pinpointing the core things that you need for the project, it will be much more easier than trying to run off from onset the try and error method. So what I would just advise is try this method and now compare it, maybe in one of your projects. Try it and now compare it with um any other project that you must have done.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you, bro.
Yeah. All right. Okay, at anyone you can ask your
I
question.
think
Okay, thank you so much, Sadi, and thank you for this session. I want to ask you a question. I recently built a dashboard on this UAC, Unique Active Users, and there's something that I noticed when I cross-check my data on DeFi Llama. I got something around 97,000, but DeFi Llama is reporting like 1.2 million for a particular day I checked. I want to ask, is it that the problem there is data lagging issue on June, or maybe I didn't call all the metrics I need to call because I've been trying to see where the mistake came from. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so two things. Two things. There's always the issue of data lags on Dune. I think for Dex, depending on the table you are using, there are some table that the data lags for like 90 minutes thereabouts. So you might want to check if it's a data lag from Dune. Another thing could also be the methodology that DeFi Lam use in reporting that particular data. Say, for example, there are some times where DeFi Lam probably removes or adds certain metrics to some of their metrics, maybe their volume or their total value locked, for example. There are sometimes they add or remove certain metrics from it. Meanwhile, on Dune, the raw data would probably not have that addition or subtraction. So I think what you probably need to do is just to check in depth what methodology DeFilam is using to report that particular data. And maybe as an extra, you might probably want to ask some of the admin on data, I mean, DeFi Llama, to be able to perfectly understand where the discrepancy is. So it could also be that it's a data lag on June, which is possible, or it could be. So what you can do in that case is that there are certain times I do some things manually that I would probably take the extra step of scraping, of doing actual data scraping. Maybe try to do a data scrape of the, maybe you try to do a small um, time frame, maybe like 6 hours. So you try to manually collate the data, like scrape the data maybe um, on the Explorer, maybe for like 6 hours, and now try to compare what you scraped with what you have on June. So you'll be able to easily know where the discrepancy is. So I think that can probably help.
All right, thank you so much, sir. I'll try that. Give a
Okay,
feedback to next call.
okay. Noel, I'm going to answer your question. So, Bolaji, you can ask your question.
Thank you very much. First of all, I wanted to say, like, I want to say everything that you have actually broken down. I love each and every part, and I was able to deduce some of, let's say, some mistakes and probably some steps I didn't like. I used to take before, and I don't know if it's possible to have like to be granted access to this particular picture of yours on the screen.
It's simple.
That way
Yeah,
is going
I
to
will share.
I'll be able to get it.
I will share it. I will share it. I will also share the video the same way I did on YouTube, and also I will share this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
All right. Um, Adepoju.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much for this session, and I got to learn a lot. So yeah, the question I have is as regards the third step, that's as regards sources, collating your sources, like gathering your sources, and I think that's one issue I've had for some time. In gathering my sources, for example, I usually run into some kinds of problem. For example, I was trying to um build a dashboard and add like a feature of like a visualization of buybacks and stuff like that. But I didn't even know how to I didn't know how to get the addresses of the buybacks, like just like we have in Adam Tech Ponton
Dashboards. Yeah.
table
Yeah. Yeah.
dashboard. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that and another question was that I was also trying to work on the dashboard. So I've even drafted out the metrics, and now I wanted the outcome to be like so I even started building like a query on it. Like I've started like I just need to just plug in some things. Then I found out that oh, it's almost as though it wasn't on Dune. Useless. I wanted to work on useless. I wanted to build a dashboard. I didn't see any dashboard on useless on Dune. So I wanted to work on a dashboard for useless. I don't even know the token useless token.
Yeah.
So, but the contract address wasn't. It's not registered on Dune. I don't know if there's anything I can do about that or why. I don't know how
No,
possible it is
the
for
contract address is on June. The contract address is on
it's
June.
on June.
Yes, it's on June. The So that is why you have to like map out. You would specifically not get the actual contract address. So if you pull out the contract address is on June, the token means address. On Solana, they call it token mint address. So the token mint address of useless, that is what you would use to probably run your analysis of probably the holders table, whatever information you want to get. So like I said, one of the best ways, or I won't say best ways, one of the way I probably work around some project I do is that if I have something I want to do, I also check people that have done something close to that or something relating to it. So maybe you want to do like buybacks, for example. Fine. So you go to Adam Tech's buyback dashboard, check out how it was able to like maybe what we'll even do probably in the next class. I don't know. We can probably so our next class would be like breaking down a dashboard. So I would be looking out to suggested dashboards you want us to break down in our next class. Yeah. So you pick maybe Adam Tech's dashboard. Try to see how try to see how he's able to get his result. That is the query he wrote and all of that. So you want to see, okay, what links this to this, what links this to that. Then you now try to replicate it in your own project, like your home buyback. So one of the ways to be able to also get the actual concept or query you need to write for a particular concept is that try to gather the transaction hash that contains each of those concepts. Say for example, at every point bank does a buyback, maybe they are buying it back from a particular address, and maybe they are burning it into a particular address. It means there is a pattern. There is a pattern. Maybe they buy from this address and send to this address. I'm just using it as an example. So it means using that transaction hash, maybe on Solana calls or Solana instruction or whatever table you are trying to use, it means you want to look out for similar patterns that happens. For example, for if you check any meme coin related, like all these launchpad tokens, if you check all the launchpad tokens query, you find out that to be able to identify a particular launchpad, it means, let me show you an example now so that I don't explain theory. I think Bray has wanted to ask another question the other time. I'll come to that. Um, so let me use this. Okay, yeah. Let me use this. I think this works now. Okay, so you would see that in order for me to be able to actually be able to get the means transfer, by means transfer, I mean in order to be able to get the token that are on less bunk, like less bunk related tokens, in order for me to be able to get those tokens, coming. In order for me to get those tokens, it is from the same Solana instruction calls, but there are certain things, there are certain differentials. There's an executing account, this particular executing account, then the binary, the data has to start with this particular data has to be the starter pack of that particular data, and the account argument for has to be either this or this. Then the account argument 7 is the token mint address. The account argument 1 is the transaction signer. If we go on pump fund, if I go on pump fund, you might find out that the account argument that contains the token mint address would be totally different. It might not be 7, it might be 4. So the reason I'm able to know this is because I probably pick up a mint address, maybe when a particular token is minted on Lesbonk, I pick up the mint transaction itself. Then I check on Solana instruction calls, I check for that transaction hash. So probably I pick up like 2 or 3 different mint address now. Now I compare their pattern. From comparing their pattern, I found out that okay, all of those mint address, they have this binary stats. They all have this. I found out that oh, they all have this executing accounts. I found out that oh, they have this account argument, either this or this as the account argument 4. And I found out that on account argument 7, that is where the token mint address is. So what I'm trying to explain is that you have to like try to find out a particular pattern in order to be able to pull out, especially for Solana data. Sometimes it's not as straightforward as it looks. You probably have to look out for a particular pattern and then be able to draw out conclusion. By conclusion, you're able to draw out the actual data you want to pull out. I hope that makes sense. I think Mavi asked that question.
Yes,
Um,
marvelous. Yes, it's yes. I
oh,
understand. Thank you very much.
okay. Yeah. So, any other question? I think Bray, you can ask the question you wanted to ask the other time. We have 3 minutes. Bray, I think you wanted to ask a particular question. Okay. Is there another person with question? Mike, Daniel. Okay. I've not treated Noel's question. So Noel is asking, uh, okay, I want some resources that explain how Solana works under the hood, how to use the instruction calls, event table, and all. Uh, there is really no article. So the funny thing is, this was the same question I asked Adam. I'm hoping he will probably be able to answer those questions. In one of these class, I would show us there's a particular dashboard I use that I started using. I just found out about recently that I'm able to pull out decoding, I'm able to decode program ID. I think I'm going to share it. So this particular dashboard, yeah, this particular dashboard is what I've been using in recent days to pull out instruction calls, or yeah, this particular dashboard is what I've been using to pull out like program ID in order to be able to pull out certain information from Solana instruction call. I'll try to explain how you can use this maybe as a sketch. I'm also trying to understand this bit by bit. I've not gotten full understanding of this. I'm not sure there is a particular resources per se that fully explains it. So a good number of time you'll be left with figuring it out. And I think when I asked Adam, he told me that it's not like it's straightforward, that I had to like pick it up one after the other. This call is ending. Yeah, so like I said, um, inner instruction and all of that. Yeah, I will explain this in one of the classes. Anyways, I'll explain it in one of the classes. So if you have extra question, you can just drop it on the group so that we can tackle it and address it. And you can also probably want to tweet on Twitter how the experience of this class has been so far, especially for this class. I'm going to share this video on YouTube. It's going to be it's in a private playlist anyways. It's still private because I don't want to make it public yet. So I'm going to share it so you can probably rewatch, and I'm going to put a link to the slide I used in this. So thank you everyone for joining this evening's class. Thank you so much. So I think our next meeting should probably be next week, Sunday, or maybe Saturday. I don't know, but I'll let us know.